Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Kharak Cup number 8. We're going to continue our coverage from the quarterfinals now. We got Tarnarmour playing against YoloSwaggins, and you might be thinking, haven't we seen this before? Well, yeah. Tarnarmour wasn't particularly happy about this, but yeah, he just played his last qualifier section game with YoloSwaggins. Now here they're going to meet again in the elimination bracket. Tarnarmour, of course, playing as random. That means he's going to be set in as random for the entire series. YOLO playing as Coalition here. And the first map, which would have been YOLO's pick, is going to be Torren Crater. And I think that's a map that's going to play pretty well to YOLO's style, probably. He likes to go for these LAVs in the beginning, likes to take the map control, and this is a map where you can really exploit map control, I feel, a little bit better than others. Let's see, what is Tarnarmour going for? Immediate Sandskimmer Fabrication, moving out with the Base Runner and the Blast... the Blast Runner, no, the Base Runner and the Production Cruiser. And Base Runner is going off to this kind of sneaky side locations. That's definitely the idea. Kind of the mirror image of what's going on over here, yeah, as this Base Runner definitely going to come try to put down some turrets somewhere. Whew. Excuse me. Oh, yep. There's only one guy in the RUs here. Maybe he's doing this on purpose, but I don't think so. We'll have to see, I suppose. Probe is going to see everything he needs to see. Take a little bit of damage there, but he's going to be fine, yeah. As the production cruiser, like, shoots into the ground, like... Oh, sorry guys, I missed. Like, yeah, you were shooting the ground, man. Like, what was the idea there? This wreck over here is going to get opened up. Still only 5 over here, yeah? Yeah, just 5. I mean, I really wonder if he's doing that on purpose, but at any rate, he's going to have to move back once this turret gets set up. 2 blast drones are finished now for, like, over on this Base Runner. Tren is not going to be happy. I was just watching Tren's stream earlier today, and he was just like... Because someone, Majir, has convinced everyone that the only way you can use blast drones is cheese thing with the salvagers. So he's probably not going to be too happy to see this, but that's alright. And yeah, I mean, Tarnarmour cannot take this fight with the LAVs here, so the longer he stays here, the more dangerous it gets. That's why I was kind of confused he only had one guy in the RUs here, because normally you're going to try to go for some kind of a tech option. But honestly, playing against someone like YoloSwaggins or Garmulator, they both have kind of similar early game style. I wouldn't even go for this at all. I feel like you're not going to get too much out of it. Now, there's not 1, there's not 2, there are 3 blast drones coming into the eco right here, and they're going to be unopposed. This should be a pretty legendary hit. I really want to see Tarnarmour get some value out of this. Yeah, that right there is a good target. Boom. There go 3 of them. That's excellent. Turret is set up here as well, though. He's already taken 1 kill. This guy needs to back away. Is he gonna be alright? No, he's not gonna be alright. Turret is gonna go down though to those cruise missiles. That's one reason why turrets are a little bit weak against Kharak players, because of those cruise missiles. LAV fight's still taking place over here though, I'll say. You know what I really kind of miss about Tren's old way of playing Con F? He doesn't play too much anymore. Maybe he'll get back into it. He just started streaming after all. But the way that he uses blast drones is not like as an early game opener. It's not something like it's like throughout the entire game, with 2 base runners producing them. It just uses them as an actual unit, and he can take such effective fights there because either you're scared of those blast drones or they actually did kill all your guys. You know what I mean? Also, Tarnarmour, you know you don't have refiner mode, do you? I feel like he's kind of doing enough eco damage to himself right here to counteract what he did to YOLO. It's a little bit sad. Missaturation as well as just kind of drifting away from the base there. I'm not really particularly pleased to see that. Yeah, in fact, like his carrier should really be here to stop these LAVs from attacking as well, mind you. Okay, so he's moving back now. AV fabrication coming out of YoloSwaggins. Still have yet to see a tech choice from Tarnarmour. But he just lost the salvager there, I noticed that. So now there's only 4 guys here. Extraction goes down for him. 2 more blast drones on the back line here, and maybe YOLO won't be ready for that. Yeah, he's just moving. Okay. He is going to see it with this one LAV, which is a really nice move there, obviously. And he's got armor 1, but I think the LAV will still die in 1 hit to the blast drone, so Tarnarmour could keep one of them alive, perhaps, but not going to be able to get any, like, you know, ridiculous salvager kills here, I don't think. Oh, boy. Yeah, no, he saw it. He saw it. There's a lot of room in the back on Torrent Crater, you know what I mean? There's a lot of room that you can kind of maneuver around in the back of your opponent's base. And that's a lot of fun, but not going to matter here. The 2 blast drones are going to get out, which is excellent. Boost is used here to keep the LAV in range, but it's only going to last for like 10 seconds, so yeah, he's not going to be able to catch that guy. And Tarnarmour still has not gone for a tech choice, still has not gone for refinery mode. I'm kind of amazed here. And if YOLO moves out with some AAVs here, there's nothing to stop him. Oh my gosh, stop clicking. Sorry, that was so loud. But yeah, like, there's nothing to stop AAVs from just moving out from YoloSwaggins right here. Blast drone's gonna get routed again, so they're not getting. Oh, yeah, there you go. One of them does manage to get a kill right there, which is pretty nice. That LAV just coming way too close. I wonder if LAVs on armor 2 can actually withstand the blast drone hit, but I'm not sure. Cruise missile is starting to get used over here. I'd like to see smoke deployed here because this base runner is taking, you know, permanent damage. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There's a lot of room on this map. Well, we could see some shenanigans go on over there, couldn't we? Now, Tarnarmour doesn't know that these guys have passed, but he may get a feel for it. And actually, one thing that I'd say really is very good about Tarnarmour's play is that he knows when to attack and, like, where. Yep, there you go. I mean, he kind of has a feel for that kind of stuff. He's probably hacking. No, I mean, I literally watch his screen while he plays, so I know he isn't. But the biggest thing I think he could work on is just kind of like making sure that he's got the timings right for like when you need to expand your eco, and then also making sure he's doing, you know, build orders that make sense against his particular opponent. As well as, you know, maybe some like early game micro things too, but these guys getting a little split up. What in the heck? What? Bruv. That blast drone just doesn't really know what he's doing there. I've never seen that before. Like, what? Probably he gave like a V move command and like had one of them outside of the range, so he's keeping trying to like move around. And he's like nudging on the wall there. 2 salvagers could get taken here. That's already not bad, but he's got bigger things in mind. Just don't lose that blast drone. Second missile does not launch, so he's going to be able to come in here, do some damage to the main or to the second. But the splits are really good. Just gonna get one, but he does take some mining time as well. And honestly, what's sometimes nice to do in these types of scenarios is like get right next to one of them, and then wait until like the army comes in before you do it, so that you can like maximize the time that you delay the mining. But the risk there, of course, is that you're gonna accidentally like not detonate it. And I think he's gonna stop this extraction, right? Remains to be seen. Yeah, it's gonna be close, but I don't think it'll make it. Just one step further. There he goes. So AAV fabrication was researched, but then none of them were made. And then railgun fabrication was researched. That's kind of interesting, but I think YOLO was just trying to cover himself if he got like overrun by skimmers or something. But I'm not totally sure what the idea there was. Damage 1 comes out on the sand skimmers. Now Tarnarmour ready to do some eco damage over here, which is really nice. Good stuff to see. 1 Salvager going down over there. Probably that's about all he can get right now, but that's fine. And he also is preoccupying that army, which is always nice. Shouldn't be staying here, I don't think, because he's going to take damage to these LAVs from long range. And with the boost now being used here, he could also get chased down a little bit. How long does this boost go on? That seemed like more than 10 seconds. Actually, look at that, though. He's kind of found his opponent's army a little bit piecemeal here, and been able to take out a couple of them. Oh, this guy survives with like a sliver, 5 health on that guy, but that's alright. And damage 2 getting researched here, so his strike craft definitely better than his opponent's there. But he does need to be careful because LAVs just as a base unit are much better than sand skimmers. He's gonna start moving up onto a third base now, but his opponent's been on there for some time. I always feel a little uneasy about that situation that Tarnarmour puts himself in that way. He could also get a production cruiser here. I think that'd be a good move. Because if you look at his resources, of course, he's floating like 1,200. So missile ship tech also coming out here in case Yola goes for air. That's not a bad move. You know, if I were YOLO, I think I would go for assault cruisers right here. Because it moves on into artillery, which will counter, you know, the counter to the assault cruisers themselves, which would be rails, right? So you're not going to have to worry about that. And then, on top of that, they are really good against sand skimmers. So you can do some, like, redonkulous backstabbing with just, like, a single unit. Where's Tarnarmour's army, though? I feel like he's just not really producing much. Suddenly he just used all his resources, so he must be making something now. Yeah, there you go. But, I don't know, I feel like he often gets behind an army count just by not making anything, which is a little sad. YOLO's starting to go for those power reserves. Tarnarmour is as well, which is a little interesting. I'm not sure how much value he'll get out of it. Maybe he's got a plan there. But YOLO definitely looks like he's ready to come do his kind of like game-ending, you know, crush move or something. Me, personally, I'm not so sure about that. There's only 3 railguns out here. And that Conf carrier can do a lot of punishing on the way back. Like, as you're leaving, it'll just, like, wreck you. Tarnarmour got fully saturated on this base over here. I'd say he's in a really good position. You know, as far as, like, holding off this push goes. Needs to continue making railguns, that's also true. Needs to continue just making things in general, I guess. But if his carrier is close by... Oh, he canceled power... He canceled power 3. Wait, did he or did he just get power 2? I'm not sure. Looks like LAV is looking to do some damage over here, and this is, you know, Conf problems, right? They don't really have vision of this kind of stuff. Curiously, it'll be a blast drone that finds us first, and he should be able to get the detonation right here. Oh, he missed it though. Not able to do any damage just then. Sand skimmers find the railguns exposed. Once he sees how much damage this carrier is doing, he should probably realize that the carrier is quite powered up. Yeah, see, I don't really like this move of staying underneath the carrier, because you're going to take a lot of damage this way. But, you know, that being said, he takes out a lot of railguns there, and he's able to definitely cancel this push here. I worry that he's going to take a lot of damage to these LAVs now. What are the upgrades? Like, actually, upgrades are not very good on the LAVs, so maybe he'll be fine. And Tarnarmour making more sand skimmers, that's what he needs. He has a lot of railguns. I'd say if you see that your carrier's out here and the LAVs are chasing, go do some damage to it. Because it's very far away from anywhere that it can heal up, you know what I mean? You can finish off the rest of the railguns and then you can do some serious damage to that carrier. Only thing he's got to watch out for, that cruise missile is ready. And that would be pretty tilting, wouldn't it? Focus fire also isn't really the best, and he's done damage to a lot of railguns without actually killing any of them. And suddenly his railgun count is only 3. That was actually very fast. I always underestimate these carriers and their redonkulous damage output. Cruise missile gonna land right. Oh no, the sand. Oh. Ew. Yeah, it landed right on top of Tarnarmour's rally point. Meanwhile, Tarnarmour's in the base, but he's gonna get killed over here as well. And that should really just be game, I think. It may go on for some time now, but Tarnarmour just got completely army wiped, and his opponent's carrier is already on its door, so there's definitely momentum here to be used by YOLO. Who, by the way, at this point, I think it's okay to queue up one of the carrier production upgrades, but that's alright. So Tarnarmour picks up this artifact, which is actually really good, because otherwise YOLO could have done it, and that would be game if he gets those 5. So that's kind of a nice move there. But yeah, Eco's starting to get pushed off for Tarnarmour here. It's not going to be long, I don't think, before he either surrenders or just gets flat out killed. Cruise Missile's even, I think, almost ready again. Yeah, like about half a minute on that. And so I think really what happened to him this game was just, you know, slower on the Eco, slower on the building, and then his opponent just had more. I actually was a little surprised to see just how effective that carrier was, but it did have power 3 after all. And the focus fire wasn't particularly good for Tarnarmour either, so that also kind of hurt him. So now his units are going to make the grand exodus as they run off in this direction here, but to where exactly? I mean, the Conf carrier is actually slower than the Coalition one. Conf problems, am I right? He's like, guys, wait for me. I'm kind of in charge of all of you, right? I think he just blew up his own artifact there, but he actually did a lot of damage to the LIVs, so I wonder if that was a good move or not. Cruise Missile is ready, by the way. Just launch it right there, and you're just like, game over. I think he just did launch. Yeah, but where? Oh yeah, just on the carrier, but that's also not a bad move, obviously. Just go ahead and load map 2's replaying here, but I think after we go to the title card, check out, or why do I call it a title card? That's not what it is. After we go to like the thing that tells you about the eco and such, and we check that out, we'll probably see that one of the big problems here. I'm recording, aren't I? Yeah, okay, good. We'll probably see that one of the big problems here is just eco, right? Oh yeah, I didn't even realize it was that bad, but look at this. Obviously, this is somewhat influenced by the end of the game, where his opponent was not even harvesting at all, right? Because he was pushed off those bases, but a lot of it has to do with that early game. Let's see if Tarnarmour can figure it out. Let's see if he can win the second game here. This time it's going to be a CBC, as you can see by the screen there. He is, of course, random, but when you're on like the replay screen where you pick which replay you're going to play, it tells you what faction he is, which is kind of interesting. I think CVC he'll fare a bit better in, and he did used to be a Soban main, so I mean he knows how to play Coalition here. But yeah, he's got to expand faster. I think that's one of the biggest things. So he's gotten this spawn right here, which is the worst one if you're getting attacked early game, but I don't think that's gonna happen necessarily. And I think that spawn is actually very good for late game, like holding off late game pushes, because your opponent has to go down through this kind of valley here at some point or other, either up here or down there. And that tends to be YOLO's style, so maybe this will be good for him. I've never seen someone try to like sneak around this side and then come in from behind, but I think they don't do that, because if you move off in this direction, you're just going to get flanked over here and your eco will be gone. LAV fabrication coming out for both players at about the same time. This time, all 6 salvages mining. That's very nice to see. And I don't know, it just looks like Tarnarmour kind of has the jump on everything here. Except he's only going to make one salvager onto the second base location over there. But I mean, he's even, like, he got LAV fabrication and these first salvagers out faster. I wonder if he was quick dropping. No, I don't think so, unless he did it, like, absolutely perfectly. He didn't send out a probe, that much is true. This probe here probably ought to just get killed by these LIVs, but the reason this is worth it is because YOLO wants to find out what faction he is. He knows now, it's either Saban or Coalition. Don't think he saw anything that would tell him either way, but... Yeah, no, he didn't. But he does know at least what type of faction he's up against, which is good for him. So Tarnarmour going for the early AAVs right here. This is not exactly an AAV rush, obviously. It's coming out a lot later than that, but you know, that just seems to be like a unit choice here. And I would say it's a pretty good one, but we know that YOLO often goes for rails first, and that might be a bit of like a counter scenario. But then Tarnarmour can transition to rails of his own. He can have kind of like rail AAV composition here. But actually going for armor upgrades, that's probably not going to be the case unless that's a temporary thing, which is unlikely. And of course, there's always the possibility that I'm just reading too much into this and like none of this is actually going through their minds. I think he was contemplating picking up that artifact, but this one would be better for him. That's what he's going to go for. Carrier production upgrade now on the way. Oh, Tarnarmour, you don't have the artifact. What are you doing? not sure where he's headed over there, but yeah, his opponent still hasn't made a tech choice here. The LAV numbers are even actually, but YoloS's position's a little bit better up on top of this hill here. There could be like a turret placement that goes down. Remember, you know, in terms of this damage here, this fight here, whatever damage you take is permanent. So Tarnarmour needs to be careful he doesn't get hit by that high ground position there. Well, that'll come back to bite him a bit later on. YoloS going for the support cruiser first. Tarnarmour looks like is going to make AAVs, right? I can't totally tell. But if that's the case, that's not a bad move, but he does need to make sure that he gets some value out of that by doing some damage to the eco here. Yes, there are AAVs coming out. Which normally you wouldn't be able to do, but YoloS's been very slow to get a tech choice. Railgun fabrication only now coming out in about 20 seconds. So the AAVs may be able to give some grief to his opponent here, but he needs to make sure he doesn't fall behind in economy, and we've seen this so often from him. I'm kind of worried it's just going to happen again the same way. Extraction going to go down for both players, which is pretty nice. And the LAV count's still about even. YoloS even sending this guy back to get healed, which is really cool to see. Probe wants to see what the status of his opponent's economy is, wondering if he's on 3 bases or not. In reality, he's not even on 2. So that's definitely good for YoloSwaggins. And good on him for checking that also. I love how both players, though, they're getting like the same upgrades at the same times, you know what I mean? It's very clear to see they're on pretty similar wavelengths here. Turn in a nice position here to give some, put some hurt down on that AAV. And this AAV honestly probably ought to just smoke at this point. Oh, if you run back this way, you're going to come back into the turret's firing arc. Ew. Yeah, there you go. That was a little unfortunate. So these AAVs should run right straight up to the turret and put a smoke down there and then a smoke down there. No, they're going to run away. Yeah, see, this is the problem here, because if you don't get the value out of these units immediately, then your opponent's move to go for the economy instead is immediately going to be better, right? If this turret had gone down, then the second turret probably could have gone down too. Then you have, or maybe just even avoided, you could just run off in this direction. Then you have the possibility of doing some real damage to the eco, but he sees the turret, but then he just kind of runs away from it. So it seems like it was a bad move for him then to go for those AAVs right there. He is going to get a second extraction, which is good to see. And railgun fabrication on the way for him now. He's going to just play a bit more like defensively, I guess. But still no eco on the way, I don't think. Unless that's a support cruiser. It is. Okay, that's wonderful. That's very good to see. In that case, there's still a chance. If the support cruiser wasn't even on the way, I would say this game was pretty much over already. But on top of that, also, he's doing some good eco damage over here, as you can see. 2 salvagers going to go down here. Probably could get a third if he wants to. This railgun would be a nice pickup, though. Especially if it turns out to be a rail war later on. Yes, he should definitely finish this one off. That's excellent. And now he can just kind of leave. Turret claims another victim, by the way. That's something special. So railgun fabrication is finished, and at this point what I'd like to see Tarnarmour do is just transition to AAV rails, because you know your opponent does not have many more rails than you do. And the AAVs totally counter the LAVs. He doesn't need to make any more of those. He can just go for railguns, and I think he should be fine here. And his opponent's economy has been damaged enough that he still has definitely a good chance here. Mag accelerator coming out. That tells me he definitely is going into rails now. Although he's making more LAVs. Like I said, I'm not totally sure about the idea. If you want vision, you can get it with the base runner. But I honestly don't think you need it. If you can just outproduce on the railgun count, you're probably fine to go without that. But even more LAVs getting produced now. And did he got the second production upgrade, but I don't think he can triple produce at this point, unless he's, yeah, making LAVs. Well, it's true he can go for LAV fabrication, but he also needs to work on his economy here, and I think that the LAVs just don't quite cover him the same way that making like 3 or 4 railguns would have. And I was talking about how, you know, this side of the map tends to favor like the late game play because it's hard for your opponent to push, but if your opponent's push is actually taking place down this hill, it doesn't matter how long the game's been going on, right? Is another moment where smoke should be used, probably. Well, maybe not, actually. I guess the railguns don't have sight anymore. But yeah, just Tarnarmour's lack of railguns here is really going to come back to hurt him, and he has the tech. That's the other thing, is like, he definitely could have these railguns by now. He's also starting to float quite a bit. Okay, so the smoke was used there, that's nice. But I don't know, this is looking really kind of hairy for him. Two AAVs in a nice position here, though. They should smoke off against this railgun, but then they can start doing some damage to the eco, which is nice. And YOLO's still not on that third base totally because he hasn't got a support cruiser on it. Oh, you need to smoke the rail, though, or else you're just going to get killed here. Oh, no. Yeah, it's too late, though. I think the carry can finish him off now. Action going on anywhere else. And now the LAV's moving off onto this side, but they need to come back probably and be on the defense. Still no sign of rails, though, and I mean, like, the AAVs had you completely covered against LAVs. You didn't need these guys for that, but you also weren't going to be able to push in and get damage on the rails, I don't think, anytime soon. So having railguns of his own, I think, would have been enough to hold this off quite nicely. At this point, though, he is in a nice position to start laying down the smack on these guys. So that's always good to see. Another turret gets set up by the base runner. Don't run away. No, you want to run toward it. Yeah, he's going to come into the Death Valley. There's actually two turrets watching this position as well as all of these LAVs. So that's a little bit sloppy there. He could have come up here, weeded out this turret, which he's going to have to do eventually, and now it's going to be a lot harder now that it's kind of, you know, set up. And just now starting to get some railguns, but now that he doesn't have the LAV lead and all of his AAVs got killed off, I think actually he's pretty vulnerable to getting wrecked by LAVs if he does that. Yeah, I don't know, it just kind of seems like it's pretty consistently just barely the wrong move at the wrong time, you know what I mean? But like, this would have made sense, you know, 2 minutes ago, this would have made sense 1 minute ago, but not right now. And he's also falling behind an eco as well because he still hasn't made another support cruiser. Probably putting on a turret here would be good because these LAVs are going to start trying to take out these rails. But he does have the railgun numbers now. That's good. Look how many turrets are on this map, by the way. 3 of them over here. Making a really nice wall here where, like, yeah, your opponent can still push through the wall, but they can't push you through the wall if you've got guys there. This is Belgium, but fortunately, there's someone there. And this is the Ardennes, but no one can get through that. Alright, enough World War II jokes. Because, like, yeah, obviously they can get through that, but actually you can't move units down here. The collision box clearly says it's bound to here, but it's actually bound to, like, here. It's really kind of weird. I think they did that by just making all of this impassable terrain. Probably gonna get sniped over there. That's a pretty nice little move. And both players just kind of building up here, but that's obviously got to favor the guy who's on 3 bases, right? And YOLO's even unlocked his carrier here with that 3rd support cruiser. He can do whatever he wants now, I think. Well, the support cruiser kind of moving off of position, that's alright. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him put down another turret right here. But again, you know, this is part of that wall there. He can't push any further to get at these railguns because there's turrets here. He's going to try for it anyway, but this is going to be a massacre. He does manage to get 1 railgun, but look at the damage being done to him meanwhile. This is huge. And all of these turrets, except for this one, they could have been killed at the time that they were deployed. And, like, the longer they stay up, the more value that they're getting for YoloSwaggins. Oh, a little too close for comfort over there. The entire LAV army just got wiped right here. There's only 1 AAV to hold this, so he probably ought to set down a turret here again. It's nice to mix base runners in with your army, because then you can put down turrets in that kind of situation, but he's not going to choose to do that right here. And it's more LAVs once again. Here, also I think is an opportunity to transition back into AAVs, but he's already invested so much into the upgrades for these guys, I think he kind of has to do it at this point. Or maybe that's what he feels anyway. But the Rail War is actually going in his favor now. Took some convincing shots right there. Oh, and he's getting him again, so Rail War is going actually very nicely for him, but he wants to stay away from that carrier. Probably wants to move these guys back up onto the hill now as well, and maybe even, you know, put down a turret still. I think that would still be a good move there, because eventually you're going to get flanked probably. LAVs tried to run in again, but they were underneath the carrier for so long, you could see how much damage that did, and this is where that turret would have come in handy, right? Although, you know, he'll be fine actually, I guess he doesn't need it just yet. Oh, I forgot, there's actually, there's actually 2 artifacts getting scored. Oh, and look at YOLO putting down the smoke on the artifacts just in case. I love it. Yeah, I didn't even realize that that was happening. Maybe Tarnarmour didn't either, that would explain it. He's gonna choose the GG right there, but 5th artifact gonna get scored anyway, boy. Oh, I just got an achievement. I got an achievement for extracting artifacts as Coalition. Alright. Sure. Yeah, so what happened, just once again, you know, kind of a bit of a silly build there. I mean, I think the AAVs were fine, but they had to either come out earlier or take out these turrets, or just go for more eco on the back of it, and really none of those moves were made. This hard point just got harder and harder as more turrets got set up, and that was really just the end. I don't, you know, after a while there was really just nothing Tarnarmour could do about that one. I think well played, YoloSwaggins. I think he did a good job of just, he did a good job, you know, of mixing in the right units at the right time there. I think we've seen better from Tarnarmour, and I think we will see better in the next tournament, but hopefully this video helps him see the things he needs to improve. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.